price he gave you discounted.
Yeah, he didn't lose his passport or his computer. Just stand on one side or the other so you're not blocking us.
How's here? Is this okay?
Is everybody, you guys?
Okay. All right, awesome.
No, you're good. You're fine. This is fine.
Okay, great. All right, hello. My name is Paul Lambert. I'm the CEO of Learndot, and we make knowledge transfer a competitive advantage for businesses. So we launched 4 months ago, and in those past 4 months, over 130 businesses have discovered Learndot. Why? Because every business requires on people knowing key information. And we've built a system that is 10 times better at knowledge transfer than anything else on the market. Let me give you an example. So let's imagine that you were a sales manager at a large tech company. You just hired 50 remote reps. So you have to onboard all of them on your products and your sales process. See, how are you going to do that? Well, traditionally you might want to do it offline, right? But these reps are remote, so you can't fly them in. That's cost prohibitive. So you're going to need a digital solution. Next, you're probably going to look to office tools. You know, email out a PowerPoint, email out PDFs. The issue here is that you have no idea if anyone's understood or looked at the material. So if your company has a learning management system, what's called an LMS, you might think to use that. And you really quickly discover that there's a whole litany of tools involved in creating a course for an LMS. In fact, this process is so complex that at most large enterprises, only a small handful of people are even qualified to use the LMS. So all you really want is an easy way to share this knowledge with all your new reps and actually have the confidence that they've learned something. And this sounds really simple, but it's actually a massive problem, and this is what we've solved. So Learndot is a cloud solution. It's a SaaS product that's as easy to use as Google Docs, but yet more analytically powerful than enterprise LMS. So to start with, we let you take any of your existing content and really quickly get it inside the product and make small units of knowledge that we call concepts. And these concepts not only look great, but they're optimized using best practices to be more effective at knowledge transfer. And a collection of concepts together then form a course. And you can share that course with any groups of learners, inside or outside your organization, really simply. And then as soon as you've shared this course with a group, they show up on your analytics dashboard. And now this is the money shot, because here you get to see exactly who's learned and where they are and where they've struggled. Not only that, we will intelligently surface exactly what content, the small little bits that need to be improved, so you can be making smart investment decisions in your content. You know, there's the adage, you can't manage what you don't measure, right? So how are you going to improve your salesperson onboarding process when you do not have a dashboard like this one and you're just emailing out PDFs? So our customers are having great success with this product. Get satisfaction. They're certifying all their power users $400 a head. They're running this entirely through our platform. Zirtual is one of San Francisco's fastest growing startups. They've gone from 3 to 150 people in like the last 8 months, and they credit us with being absolutely essential in enabling them to do that. But these fast-growing tech companies are just the start. We are going to scale from SMBs to enterprises in multiple industry verticals because business knowledge transfer is stuck in the fly-by-night dark ages, and we are moving it into the data-driven future. This market is massive. This year, $10 billion will be spent directly on technology for knowledge transfer in businesses in the US alone. But that is nothing compared to the $130 billion spent globally on corporate learning. Our traction is fantastic. We have over $150,000 right now in our pipeline. Our monthly revenue is growing 50% month over month. We have a fantastic team, deep experience in entrepreneurship, design, software, learning theory, and marketing. We came out of the Grow Lab Accelerator in Vancouver and raised $500,000 for most of Canada's top angels. And we are now raising $1.2 million to scale Learndot into larger enterprises and really distance us from the pack. So, if you want to be part of transforming the $130 billion corporate learning industry, come talk to me after the pitches, or Nick. My name is Paul Lambert, and I'm from Learndot. Thanks.
So we'll start questions or feedback with Eric, please.
Great pitch. That was really well done. Nice delivery, good slides, good covering all the topics. Let me just hit on a couple of things. what do you intend, a couple of questions here. What do you intend to be your sort of ultimate market share? I mean, how do you envision this 3 years out? How broadly, sort of adopted among the enterprise do you expect to be?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it comes down to how much, are there network effects here versus is it a market that's going to get split up by a bunch of different players? And we're actually working on that right now. So I actually don't have a great answer.
And I ask that because, I'm interested in, you set it up by talking about competitive advantage for business, right? Now, I mean, look, if you're going to be competitive advantage, you got to have a small market, right? Otherwise, it's going to be, everybody's in the game. There isn't a competitive advantage. So I'm interested in that. Anytime that there's a tool that enhances productivity or, scale, I want to understand how do you make money without this being a race to the bottom, okay?
Okay.
The other thing is your last comment. I'm going to pick on your first comment and your last. Your last comment was, talking about how you're going to distance yourself from the pack with your $1.2 million raise. You didn't really talk about the pack, okay? I mean, you talked about, you being very different in your approach to enterprise learning from the other solutions that are out there. Quickly, tell us who else is doing something like what you're doing, and how are you distancing yourself from that small pack?
Sure. So can I actually answer both those?
Sure.
So the first question, I think most innovative technology products initially give a competitive advantage. And eventually becomes a status quo. Like, for example, Salesforce, big competitive advantage to sales teams that use it at the beginning, right? But then now it's become a status quo. So hope to follow that same trajectory. On the second question, we're immediately compared to LMSs, right? So when I talk about that 1.2 million to separate us from the pack, what that really is a communication effort. It's building an inside sales team and a marketing team to communicate that different positioning that I really have up in that 4 quadrants. But people say, okay, I can rally, I can list off all the different LMSs out there, and we are fundamentally different, but people don't get that right away. So we need to communicate that, and that's the distancing.
Okay, Matthew?
So I know more than I want to about this topic, because one of the companies that I backed a while ago, along with Kretsu Forum, has struggled greatly in this space for a number of years. And I think the learnings, I'll tell you what their learnings were, maybe they apply or not. The first is if the sale has to go through the learning manager, the head of learning management, and or the head of HR, it's a problem, because they have a vested interest in the solutions and systems they've built, including classroom training and other things, and they don't have large budgets. The second one was most corporate information and learning is unique concepts, bits of information, and not very reusable. So if you can focus on the information that is reusable across enterprises and across organizations and get that into your platform, that's very scalable. But otherwise, everything's a unique learning interaction. The third big learning was that the on and off ramps have to be so easy and simple, and it was very hard to build those so that any user could use them, any teacher could put the content on. And then the fourth thing I'll mention is, unfortunately, you still have to integrate back into the learning management system, because if you're certifying content of employees, that needs to also be in the learning management system, because that's how they're going to get evaluated, compensated, and either promoted or fired. So you may already have a solution to that, but that was very difficult for us to do in this other company, Cube. Having said all of that, I also liked your presentation, and I felt that it was coming together. I got the point. I just think that it's a lot more complicated than it may appear.
Victor, please.
Could you talk a little bit about, and for some reason when you said concept, like I really expected you to go like that. Like I thought what we call, exactly, talk a little bit about what it takes to create a concept.
Yeah, so a concept, the basic idea of a concept is it's short content between 5 to 7 minutes, and that's research based on how long the retention is. You drop retention after 7 minutes, combined with quizzing, which creates engagement and reflection. The creation on the content side is basically, imagine like a WordPress WYSIWYG editor where you can drop any kind of content in. So you can copy paste stuff in from your PowerPoints, or PDFs, blogs, what have you. And then we guide you through, we actually have a wizard that will guide you through the type of content that will, given your learning objectives, what will be best, and also the type of quiz you want to add after that. So a concept is just a piece of content, 5-7 minutes, paired with quiz.
So my feedback is going to be this. So I really like what you're doing. I really like the presentation. I do agree with the thesis. I think dovetailing, again, don't seem to have an original thought in my head today, but dovetailing what Matthew said. The success of onboarding is going to be one of the really key problems here, and the problem when any time you do something radically new is that people just don't know what to do with it, right? And I don't know what your wizard looks like. I don't know what these things look like. But if the corpus of knowledge has not been broken down a priori, right, into these digestible concepts, right? I think a lot of people are going to have difficult time trying to figure out what creating quizzes around it, figuring out what is a bite size, right? It seems that it's video driven, which is kind of, I don't know if that's in fact true or not, but a lot of folks obviously, kind of hesitant to be on video and who's going to record and who's going to approve this content, and that's the whole company, the whole management team needs to approve it now. I foresee some obstacles there, and again, sort of a food for thought type of a thing. I would definitely think about having a real focus on these over the onboarding process, and B, having success people on your staff who are actually responsible for taking people through the onboarding process. I like it otherwise. The company with which I'm working, Accelerated Ventures, were early and very happy investors in Success Factors, so very familiar territory.
Good. Alex, please.
Your presentation is tight.
Thank you.
Can you speak about your sales strategy and why you're going for SMBs instead of large enterprises first?
Sure, yeah. So fast-growing tech companies is our immediate early adopters. We found that SaaS products change rapidly. So they're often generating content that needs to be updated, and they need to teach people about these things. So that means both internally and externally. And our sales process right now, a lot of it has been inbound leads generated through PR, blogging, and direct outreach. And what we're working on now is building an inside sales team to do much more targeted, because it's essentially enterprise sales, right? So we have our hit list, so we have our hit list, and we're working right now building an inside sales team to just go after that.
Paul.
So I got a series of 5 questions.
Paul, I think we need to limit the questions
Okay.
to fewer than 5.
One important question.
Yeah.
Is this a training tool, or is this a knowledge database device?
I think that's a false dichotomy, because it'd probably be closer to a training tool. That's what people are using us for.
Okay, because the issue here is that you put a knowledge database presentation together. Okay, that's what this is. I used to be in this business. I know a lot about it. Okay.
Well, what's a knowledge database?
Huh?
What is a knowledge database?
A knowledge database. It's a smart database I can get into anytime, anyplace, anywhere, pull up keyword access, and figure out what I need to know based on what I put in. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. And the question I have for you has to do, have you thought about what salespeople need besides training on a product? Okay, as a guy who used to train salespeople all the time, one of the reasons we brought them to the training locations, which was usually headquarters or a major regional office, was not just to teach them about our product. It was to establish the culture of the company. How do you think about us? How do you think about the company? How do you think about our customers? Why are we different? Why are we better? And if you don't instill that in your salespeople, okay, you don't get it. They don't get it. They're not part of the team. So you've got to think about how you plug that into what you're doing here, because if you don't have that element there, I would fire.
Okay. Ellis.
I'm curious about, different organizations have different learning needs, right? While a tech company, an IT company would need Microsoft certification, banking guys have different learning needs. So my question to you is, what is your engagement cycle like? Not even sales cycle. I'm not quite questioning that. What I'm questioning is, how do you know what the requirement is, when you get in with your customers, and maybe some data to share around. It took us, like, let's say 30 to 60 days to understand